A fascinating thing that I learned as a young financial planner is there's 3 things that you can get out of any investment in the world today. The difficulty is you can only get 2 of the 3 at one time. Every investment in the world today can either provide you growth, safety, or liquidity, but you can only get 2 of those 3 at one time. So if you think about it, let's look at a savings account. It can provide liquidity and safety, but very little growth. If you look at stocks that are in the market tracking an index like the S&P 500, they can provide growth and they're fully liquid, meaning you have access to them at any time, but they're not safe, right? 2008 was a significant drop or loss in the S&P 500 up to 50% plus. And if you look in the middle, there are certain things like a CD, for example, that provide some growth, safety. They're not going anywhere if the market drops, but they don't have any liquidity or limited liquidity for a period of time. What's interesting is in building and looking at financial plans, which we've done over the last 15 years here at Sound Planning Group, is finding the balance between those 3 different categories. And we call it the CPR plan. If you think about it, it's an easy thing to remember. CPR, it's not the cardiac pulmonary resuscitation or whatever it is for doctors. It's actually cash, protection, and risk. The most important thing for anyone to look at, especially as they prepare for retirement, is looking at how much cash do I need liquid to be able to have for emergencies, to be able to pay the bills, to be able to fly on that trip that you want to take to Paris, as well as how much protection do I actually need in order to make sure I don't have to go back to work or sell the house or move in with the kids if the market ever were to have a major downturn like it has in the past. And third is also how much risk do you actually need to take in order to be successful and outpace inflation. Again, it's the balance of those 3 things that is applicable to every single investor entering retirement. How much cash do I need? How much protection do I need? And how much risk do I need? And that balance of, again, safety, liquidity, and risk is absolutely paramount to think about and to ponder about and to perform on your current financial plan. Let's talk about a client that I will call Barb and Jordan. They came in, they're actually in their early 80s. And it was fun for them to talk about, hey, this is what we're doing. We're working on some properties. We're selling our house. We're remodeling this. And they have been excellent savers their entire lives. What was interesting is they had about 70% of money at risk in the market in their early 80s. And they had about 30% in cash, which for some people might be great. But for someone in the early 80s, they were surprised at how much risk they actually had. And in looking at their plan specifically, they actually didn't need to take that much. Going through a financial planning process with them, we looked at, they actually needed a little bit more cash, and they needed to dramatically reduce their risk and then increase the amount of protection they had. They didn't need to take risk. And so we put more cash, more protection, reduced their risk, and they CPR'd their plan. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to you as you're watching at home. But performing CPR on your financial plan is a critical move to being successful in retirement. How much cash do you need? How much risk? And how much protection? Because it all revolves around balancing safety, liquidity, and risk.